So down the barn recently, it's been very cold. I didn't really mention it in the last video, but what's happened now is warmed up. And because I'm British, I'm going to complain about that as well. Because of this, everything has started sweating. So the vehicles outside, my bloody beautiful lathe, this was not like this 2 days ago. And even inside toolboxes. Look at this Duracell battery. Look at this engine. Ridiculous. Right, well that didn't work at all. Basically, I was trying to make brackets to hold on the fan to the UAZ radiator, but it just barely cut through, and it would have needed so much cleaning up. They wouldn't have been straight again. I was trying to avoid using cable ties to mount the radiator fan, but that's me. I am that guy. Cable ties it is. At least I put rubber in places to hold stuff, and like washers and stuff. I am a certified cable tie technician after all. Oh, Jesus. This will hold. Okay, radiator and fan are bolted in place. Happy with that. Reason I've not gone for a pull fan is difficulty to change the aux belt. I'll put the belt back on if I ever had an issue with it. Inlet manifold's on, injectors are on, thermostat housing, which is down the back of the inlet manifold, that is on. The pipe work for it is going to basically loop underneath, come out above the alternator, which is also fitted, and go into that top there. It's all quite tight. The pipe work for the throttle body is quite tight there. Do you know what? I don't think this engine's made for this van. I'm really starting to doubt it. Okay, since them last bits of footage, Christmas and New Year's has happened. I had to take a small break to travel around and go see people, but I'm back at the UAZ now, and let's carry on. So just before I left, I fitted the turbo and manifold, and what I realised is that when I fitted the turbo and manifold last time for mock-up purposes, I did not have an actuator fitted, and I didn't really realise that was going to be a problem. I had to trim a bit more bracketry off the chassis, which I didn't think was in the way previously, but it bloody was. Cut that out of the way, reclock the turbo to how it's going to work, because it's basically got to point straight upwards. Bit tight and tricky. So the way I'm going to run things on this, as far as boost pipes are concerned, is that the turbo is going to point upwards, right? And then I need to get it to that throttle body over there. So what I'm doing is some tight bends, a charge cooler here, tight bend round the back, over across the back of the engine, dodging the coil pack and the plug into the throttle body. Now, that's not ideal, but look at it. The engine bay is not very big, right? And unless I want to go to custom everything and make a new manifold and all that stuff, this is the kind of things I need to do. In an ideal world, you certainly wouldn't have the charge cooler above the exhaust manifold. You'd probably put it over there above the inlet manifold, but what happens is that the radiator outlet's there, the thermostat outlet is down there. You know, there's stuff going to be happening in that area. I'd have to run pipework around the front of the engine. It would have to be a very tight U-bend to go from a charge cooler into the throttle body, which is, as I've said previously, facing rearwards. It's not going to happen. This is the way I'm doing things, like it or lump it. Just thought I'd point something out. I said clocking a turbo, maybe you're not sure what that is. Well, basically, the turbo's made up of 3 separate bits. Exhaust housing, compressor housing, and then this is basically where the bearing is. I think it gets called central, CHRA, central housing rotating assembly, something like that. Anyway, not important. The 3 parts can be rotated separate to each other. So this has got an oil drain on it, so that always needs the oil drain pointing as near as damn it vertically down to the sump to drain down. And then this obviously has to match up to the exhaust manifold flange, and then this matches up with wherever your boost pipes are going. So by slackening bits off, this has got a circlip this side, which you can just about see. A V-band type clamp there, slacken that off, take the circlip out, and you can rotate each of the 3 components to suit best whatever you are doing. So to show you what I've done, I've got a Saab 9000 T25 on a 9.3 manifold, so everything needed clocking ever so slightly, but mainly the compressor housing had to be clocked. Normally it points downwards on a Saab 9000, but I've got it now pointing upwards. That's as vertically upwards as I can get it to go, because otherwise it starts to foul with the exhaust manifold. So the next step is to start TIG welding boost pipes together. I've had my TIG welder less than a year. I've had mixed results with it. I'm not very good at it basically, but like anything I do here, I'm certainly no pro, but I'm willing to give it a go. So the first bit of welding I've done tonight, I didn't even bother recording it because I thought it would basically be me blowing holes and stuff, arsing around in the machine and just swearing, but it actually went alright. So on my charge cooler I wanted a tight bend coming out of it, and this is what I've got. Relatively happy with that. Should probably blow some air through it, see if it leaks, but not bad for a chimp. Hello, future Adam here. I would like to just take this time to try and plug some of the merch. I hate that word merch, but I'm going to say it anyway. Merch. Stickers. That's what I've had made. So you have the comma, the 900, and the UAS. They're each 80mm square window stickers. Good quality, nice and detailed. Doing what I like to do best. 4-wheel burnout coming soon, maybe. If they do interest you and you want to support me via buying this sort of stuff, find me on Instagram or my Facebook group. I'm under Instagram and Facebook as the same, Living My Boost Life. And on my Instagram there's a sticky post at the top telling you where you can get them. Back to the video. Okay, so this is like a mock setup, which I think should sort of work. There's a pipe or something. I think it's an old 9000 pipe cut about off the back of the throttle body. Charge cooler over the other side is looking all right. Just chop the end of this pipe off a bit. So what I need to make sure of is that I'm not hitting the coil pack. I'm not blocking the coil pack in, otherwise it means the charge cooler is going to have to come off every time I want to, or that boost pipe's going to have to come off every time I want to pull the plugs out, so I don't want to do that. Making sure it's not hitting on the bulkhead at the back, and also that I'm able to get these pipes on underneath the engine cover. That's all the things that I need to consider right now. I love building projects. I'm actually going to do first, which probably doesn't make too much sense and probably what proper builders would not do, but that's not me. I'm going to make stands going off these bolts which mount this to hold this in its correct position, and that'll make it easier to build all the pipes around it, because I'm pretty happy with how all the back pipes are, but the link pipe between the turbo and the charge cooler, that's an absolute ball ache when I'm trying to hold this in place. Okay, these are what I've made on the lathe. This is what the cam cover bolt is going to pass through. This is going to hang off the side of it, and then we're going to shape this end at some point to suit the bottom of the charge cooler. Okay, I've got the turbo fitted to the engine now. What I'm going to do is fit the compressor housing to the turbo and then start making a pipe to come up off the compressor outlet. Okay, I've got it bolted to the engine. This is how it's going to look. I've also cut the actuator bracket and moved that up slightly so it's out of the way. Compressor outlet. So basically the reason I wanted to cut and extend this is that I didn't want a silicone coupler so close to the exhaust. So my thinking is, what I'm going to do is fold up a like a heat shield, aluminium heat shield, and try and separate a bit of heat from the turbo and the exhaust manifold. Then I've got it coming straight up into this silicone coupler. Might have to exhaust wrap that or something to keep the heat away from it. Into my charge cooler. Charge cooler is bolted to the cam cover bolts. That's nice and solid. Then a tight 90 at the back. This link pipe which will go into the throttle body. I think this is a 9000 boost pipe, and it's got like a little pipe for a breather. That's going to come out, and I need to, once I run the loom, I need to add an inlet air temp sensor to this. So hopefully, once I've checked how much free play I've got in the loom, I'll probably just turn a piece of aluminium and weld it into that, thread it, and that's where the inlet air temp sensor will fit. You certainly can't pay for stuff like this, thanks to the invention of trading standards, but I'm happy with it. These probably aren't going to be threaded. I'm probably going to add just hose tails to them welded to it, and one of them will be the filler as well. And then I'll run the rubber pipes to the radiator, which I've got for the charge cooler. Right, I'm going to end this video here. It's 4 degrees below freezing, as you can tell by my attire. I was hoping that this video or the last video would be me starting this van up, but it really goes to prove, and I didn't need to learn this lesson, but it really did send it home, that the smallest thing, you cannot anticipate them. For example, like the wastegate actuator not fitting, and then the time involved in pulling the turbo off and apart to modify it, to refit it, to try it. That's hours, you know. Some of the evenings I've been coming down here, it's been a couple of evenings just to do one job. And the TIG welding the boost pipes, being as I'm not very good at it, is very time consuming. So I'm definitely getting there. These boost pipes can go on the engine. I say that, the next steps for the turbo is the oil feed and drain lines and the coolant lines. Again, that'll be a bit tedious, so I'll try and scoop through the footage and not labour it too much. But my loom has turned up for the engine, and that'll be going on soon. And we're not too far off a first start on this thing. So thanks for watching, everybody, and I'll see you in the next video.